Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising, your tarot reading for the week ahead. We start with the Strength card reverse. Don't be surprised if you have a crisis of confidence this week. Nothing long-lasting, nothing irrevocable, but those things that you may have found easy to do, that you never normally think twice about, you're suddenly unsure of. An example that I would give, maybe if you're a musician, you sit down at the keyboard and you start playing some notes and start trying to write a new tune and it just isn't working. It's just disharmonious. You can't think of the song lyrics. It's just not falling into place or falling into your lap as you would ordinarily expect. You may also find that you get a bit tongue-tied in certain situations or feel a sense of being watched, perhaps a little bit more than you ordinarily mean. I don't mean in a creepy, voyeuristic way, by the way. I just mean that in terms of the Strength card links very strongly with Leo, and Leo energy loves to be in the spotlight. It likes to be center stage. All attention's on me, all eyes on me. There may be times that you're experiencing that this week and you're thinking, I'm suddenly very, very self-conscious. That's the word I was looking for. You may feel quite self-conscious this week. Again, that might surprise you, whether that is because you have to do a talk, whether that is because there's an expectation, all eyes are on you to suddenly come up with the answer. This doesn't feel like outside pressure. So it's not that all these demands will be made of you, but rather just feeling like, I'm a bit like a deer caught in the headlights, and it may come in the most unexpected way. Just have faith, just have courage, just smile your way through it, pretend that everything is normal and easy and fine, because this is not a long-lasting thing. This is not a reflection of reality. It's not the things that you used to be good at. Suddenly you've woken up and you've lost all your ability for that or all your awareness for that. And again, if there are times that you're feeling just very much under the spotlight, maybe communicate that to say, just make light of it, just make fun of it. It's nothing to be read into too deeply. I believe I mentioned it at the beginning, forgive me if I didn't, but this theme is coming up a lot for all the zodiac signs. These anxieties arising about things that we just normally wouldn't pay much attention to. We'd normally just think, that's fine, that's no big deal. And again, catching ourselves thinking, why am I thinking about this? Why am I suddenly doubting myself around this? Why am I suddenly, this is the thing that I do every day, or I've done this a million times before. Why am I suddenly so self-conscious about it? The temptation might be to move into this Eight of Pentacles energy, which is due diligence, productivity, keeping your head down, just making and doing. Ordinarily, that would be great for you, Capricorn, because that's what you do really well anyhow. But this seems to indicate some sort of escapism. So questions to be asking yourself: am I putting off stuff? Am I distracting myself? Am I only focusing on the things that I want to focus on because I know that thing might be looming around the corner? Am I I don't know why I've got a sudden thing of like, am I working late in the office because I don't want to have that conversation with that housemate or my friend or my spouse or whomever it might be? Avoidance technique is not the right way to go this week, unfortunately, as tempting as it might be. And again, because this feels very familiar and it's like, this is my happy place, it allows you to escape that. And for me, I don't feel that that's the right course. It might be the easiest, it might be the most obvious, but it isn't the right course. So don't lose yourself in work, don't lose yourself in activity that just completely swallows you up and puts the blinkers on so that you can pretend the rest of the world has gone away. In its lowest form, this might be doom scrolling and watching endless TV. In its highest form, it might just be, I'm just getting on with that project that I started and I'm being really productive, which may still apply, may be fine, but just look at your impulse as to why that is the place that you're going to. Because there is a big call for you with the Judgment card, responding to the call, responding to higher powers. The Judgment card is the rebirth to the Death card. So because that's coming, like what I often find in my readings when I'm giving psychic readings is that the times that it tends to go slightly, tend to like worry a little bit. I'm thinking, oh, this is feeling a little bit more challenging than usually. Nothing to do with the client, it's just within my own practice. I'm like, oh, this is suddenly feeling more challenging or slightly more difficult. That tends to come just at the moment that there's some transformation within my work that means that it goes up to the next level. You know, when you're learning anything new, and again, you might feel like a master at it, and I know this like the back of my hand, but then we try a new technique or a different method or a different approach, and then we feel like it all just falls apart. Again, the example that I would give is if you're always driving a car that's an automatic and then you're suddenly in a manual and you're like, oh God, it's almost like I've forgotten how to drive. It's gonna be that sense, but please don't pull away from it. Don't think, oh, that's a bit scary. I don't know what I'm doing there. It is about embracing the new. It is about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It is about these times where you have those crises of confidence. Look at, okay, this might, I know I mentioned before, don't read too much into it, and that's right in terms of it won't be long lasting. But do look at it in terms of, okay, this might be asking me to approach it in a different way, or understand myself in a different level, or understand the thing that I've just been doing by rote up until this point. Maybe there's the reignition in some way. It's a bit like if I lay down the tarot cards, and I suddenly can't understand them. For me, I'd maybe have a moment of freak out, but actually it might be forcing me into not relying on what I've just memorized or what they said in the last reading. It's kind of keeping things fresh and new. So this is what it's doing for you. These crises of confidence or faith or belief or trust or self-belief, it's not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. Quite the contrary. It's expanding you and it's opening you up in a new way. That will lead most likely to Moon in Gemini energy with the Two of Swords, points of reflection, points of what do I do, where do I take this, how do I move ahead. But again, a reminder not to let that thought process become anxiety or worry. It doesn't need to be. Because things this week perhaps will feel a little less clear or a little less obvious, the immediate assumption is that something is wrong. And it's not wrong. It's less clear and it's less obvious because it's not the same, and because there is a development happening and a growth that is happening that may not be surface level. And that links well with the Five of Swords, the Lord of Strife, quite a combative energy usually, particularly in the realms of thoughts, ideas and communication. So don't go at war in your own mind, don't struggle with things, it's very easy for this place to just end up this frenetic mess of, what should I do? Should I do this? And it suddenly snowballs. That's not useful this week. And similarly, when we have these crises of confidence, or we're not sure, or we're experiencing these personal renaissances on a small or large scale, we might panic in a certain way. And the Five of Swords is just reminding, don't allow that panic or that uncertainty to mean that your tongue is more sharp than you mean it, that you say kind of unkind things, or you find that you're landing in arguments. It's not given that it will, but sometimes, we cover up a lack of confidence, a lack of faith with overconfidence. We swing too much the other way because we're trying to compensate. So don't compensate for those unsure feelings. Accept them, be curious about them, examine what new areas you're branching out into, rather than feeling that, again, there's a feeling that you might feel that people are slightly invading your personal space a bit this week. And because of this internal instability, You might kind of end up not necessarily lashing out, but saying things that you didn't even mean, or more forcibly than you meant, or it's not as quite as measured as you would normally. So yeah, a little bit of a message around don't take things personally, and watch how you're communicating to other people, because it might be slightly more forceful and barbed than you intended. So that's my reading for your week. I hope that helps and brings insight. Be sure to check out the other videos, particularly your rising and your moon, if you haven't already. If you don't know how to find those, no problem. We've got you covered. Just check out the description below and you'll find the link, and then you can go and look at the other videos. But until next week, have an amazing week, and see you next time. Bye for now.